Today is a great day for you to stand in your power, to shine your light, and to share your message. Someone absolutely is waiting for you to find your voice because in doing so, you are going to liberate them to do the same.
This podcast encourages and empowers you to create your own unique real story, develop your own unique real statement, and discover your own unique real self. The power is yours. Good morning, Lakena Dunham. Previously, episode 1203 of the 12-Minute Convos podcast. It's been just 2 years, 1 month, 27 days, 12 hours, and 45 minutes since we last recorded that conversation. That was then. This is now. Lakena, how are you doing today?
I am doing fantastic, and I thank you again for this opportunity to talk to you a little bit today.
Yeah, the last time we spoke, the conversation took a few themes, right? I'll say one is community, another is the support that you've given, and as well, I'll put in a third there, which is honoring your life calling. So how have things evolved?
Things are always changing, and you have to ride that wave of change and don't allow it to swallow you up. So a few things have changed since then. I remember that at that time I was doing a podcast. I'm no longer doing a podcast, but still lending my voice to speak at different women's events and for girls and teens of that nature. And, life has just evolved to show more and more of your purpose. And I believe that as we continue to journey this thing called life, that if we allow it to show us signs, that it kind of fine tunes and refocuses us on what's really important. So what's really important is now I've gone into really full-time nonprofit work. So that's really been the biggest change, that I am now almost not, I won't say 100%, but we'll say 90% is just me focusing now on the nonprofit.
Let's dig into that then. I mean, there are many people that I know that want to start nonprofits. What's one takeaway you can give them, if it's a first step that they should do before they jump into registering their NGO?
The first step, and I did not do this, and that's why now as people come and say, can you kind of give me some advice, is really to create your mission statement. What is going to separate you from the other NGOs that may be doing the same work in an area that you are, but then also really hone in on who is your target market as far as your donors. Are you going after, small repeat donors? Are you going to go after larger capital from different corporations? Are you planning on basically using grants as your major fund of sourcing? So really understanding and having a plan, have your plan even as far down as how often you're going to thank your donors. How are you going to thank your donors? And really have a concrete plan. Of course, that can change over time, but that will help you to get started before you even and know if this is something you want to do before you, spend all of those hundreds of dollars to get yourself registered.
Mm-hmm. You ran your nonprofit where you were helping girls in West Africa. How has that evolved?
It has evolved. Well, actually, this year we turned 10. So we have just entering into, thank you. Hewalenamo is now 10, and we continue to grow. We have now been able to help educate over 500 girls. We received our first grant last year. Grants was never high on my list for how I wanted funding, but an opportunity presented itself and we answered and took that challenge to apply. And it has been a blessing because it's been able to open up new programs for girls that may not have been able to be in our programs if it wasn't for that grant from the U.S. Embassy in Ghana.
In episode 1203, you shared your earliest childhood memory being where you saw that ad, right? And you knew that you were going to be someone that supported Africa. When you look at that and you look at where you are today, what's the spiritual side that connects the entire process that occurred over time?
Oh, when I tell people that story, people just, their jaw kind of drops. Like, you can remember that. And I'm like, I really believe that God gives us clues. Your purpose has clues. Your purpose leaves clues for you. And often we get so busy in life that we miss those cues. We miss the clues and of the success that we're supposed to go after. So as I look back now to say, how we are directly that incident when I was 4 or 5, jumping in my grandparents' bed and declaring, I'm going to be an answer. I'm going to do work in Africa to help, these children that I was seeing on the television screen, to now see it playing out on a day to day before me, it really just solidifies that, we have the clues that we need. Each of us have been created to be an answer. We were born with a purpose and for a purpose. And if we just would stop and get still and stop letting life just dictate where we go and let it beat up on us, we can find those clues to what it is that where our thumbprint is supposed to make a difference.
I always see that imagery of the Hansel and Gretel story, and it feels that way, that we're young children and like it's there, right? We know our way back home to our purpose and who we are very easily. But then as we get older, we need to put the crumbs down, right? And I see the crumbs as the clue to get us back, and we can either say, hey, I'm going back home, which home being the core of who you are and your purpose here and what you're created to do. Or you can say, hey, you know what? I'm not going back to that. Would you say that's accurate?
I absolutely, when you were saying, I'm like Hansel and Gretel, but I love that, that picture that yes, it is. Are you going to follow those breadcrumbs? And as a, educator by trade, I really can see now how we as adults, and we don't mean to squash the dreams of our children, but they are born, I believe, knowing that they have this greatness inside of them and that there's something that they were born and created to do. And we sometimes, say, oh, stop dreaming. So we have to, I think, as adults do better. But then if we pass that, phase, we have to remember to pick up those crumbs, like you said, of our dreams and to follow that path, because I believe that there's such peace there if we would do so. And we would just be a much better people as a whole if we just honored who we were and what we were created to do.
Now, there are 4 children in the midst of everything that you're doing, living this life of purpose. How have they been affected by all that you're doing?
I would say, well, 3 are grown. The young one he's 5, and he gets to see and he understands that he is connected to this larger world. And I love it because he now is learning some of my father's language, and he recognizes and understands that that mom gets to help these girls in Ghana, and understands how blessed he is to live here in the United States, and that even at his small age of 5, that there's something that he can do to better and improve someone else's life. So it's been phenomenal to watch him since he was born into this. My other older children, they were in their teens or, late elementary school for my daughter when I founded the nonprofit. And, they were excited and they've gotten to, work the events and things of that nature. Now that they're older and they're grown, it's so amazing to watch them find their place. They worked the nonprofit for me, but now to say, if this is not your dream, what is your dream? What is your trail of breadcrumbs, and let's help you get back to what it is that God has placed you here to do and to make an impact. So it's fun as a parent to watch that.
In the midst of everything, we're seeing face to face the possibility of death. Yes, you're creating purpose. And of course, you have the choice, but there's a time limit. How do you interact with that conversation, the possibility that you could die today or tomorrow?
My great grandfather told me, to live every day as it was my last. And at first I'm like, Granddaddy, what are you talking about? But now the older I get, I understand that. So, tomorrow's not promised. And so I am going to do all that I can do today to help someone else. I want to be the best me that I can be. But as I'm being that best me, I want to impact someone else's life. And, I don't want to die with regret. And, there's a quote that says the richest place on the world is in cemeteries, because they're all the ideas and inventions and cures. That's where they're laid that were never acted upon. And I don't want that to be said of my life. I want it to be said that I used what I had and I went all out.
Is your grandmother still with us? I remember she was 105 years when we spoke.
That is my great grandmother, and she's now 107.
Wow. Well,
Yes.
congratulate her for me. Tell her a guy in Trinidad said congratulations. Wow. And of course, your grandmother and mother, you spoke about the strength that came from them, the strong line of lineage that passed on from them. So,
Yes.
yeah, please do congratulate. Wow. 107.
Yes.
Wow.
So I'm claiming I will live to 105.
Well, there you go.
Yes.
There you go. Now, the name, let me see if I can do this. Hewalenamo. Did I do it correctly?
Close enough.
All right.
Hewalenamo, yes.
Oh, well, yeah, you sounded really good when you said it. Right. So, where's the best place for people to follow you, to find out more about what you're doing there?
Absolutely. So my personal website is my name, lakenadunham.com. And on there, you actually there's a link that will take you to Hewalenamo's page. But also, it's because I know Hewalenamo's hard, you can go to empowergirlsinc.org, and that will take you right. And you can learn all about the fun things that we have geared up for our 10th anniversary and the trip that we're taking with some teachers and others, experts to go over and to do some training for these girls.
EmpowerGirlsInc.com, EmpowerGirlsInc.com. Well, that's wonderful. Well, again, I applaud you. Hats off for the work that you're doing, not just doing your own 501, right, C3, but helping others understand that process as well and how they can get through that to help even more people. Well
Yes.
done, my friend. It's both
Well,
motivational
thank
and
you.
inspirational to check in a couple of years after and seeing that you're
Yes.
not giving up. So well done, well done. Well done. In closing, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
You know, that today is a great day for you to stand in your power, to shine your light, and to share your message. Someone absolutely is waiting for you to find your voice, to stand in your strength, because in doing so, you are going to liberate them to do the same. And we're all connected. We need each other.
We definitely do. Lakena Dunham, again, a great pleasure. A pleasure I treasure. I got that from a Ghanaian guy, I'll tell you. That, a pleasure I treasure. Yeah, I took it, right? A pleasure I treasure. Thank you for being on what is inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones. This podcast is produced by Pod Edits. Visit podedits.com for professional podcast publishing.